Thank you, Scott. Thank you very much for the intro. This is our Wednesday Q&A webinar, guys. I'm going to take you on a tour of our product, show you what we've been working on, some of the high points of our recent development efforts. And it's an interactive session here. So if you guys have questions or you want me to demo something, I'd be more than happy to do that. I've kind of got a roadmap of what I'm going to do here today, but I'm completely flexible. And if you want me to talk about something else, fire it off in the question panel and we'll see if we can get to that. So I got a little bit aggressive and I deleted the disclaimer, but the disclaimer, to paraphrase it, we are a technology company, guys. We are not a registered investment advisor. So please don't look to us for investment advice. We don't know the specifics of your available capital and your risk tolerance. You'll want to leave that to an investment professional. We just create incredible idea generation technology. If you're trading stocks in the stock market and you don't know what you want to trade or you don't know what's moving right now, this is the technology that you're going to want to be looking at. You're going to want to have this on your desktop. You're going to want to be trading with it and looking at it throughout the day to find really incredible opportunities. I mean, overall, the broader market hasn't been great, over the last several months, but there are always great, incredible moves that are happening during the day, and tuning into trade ideas is the way to find it. This slide right here, we've been recognized for the 5th consecutive year in the Inc. 5000. It's not an easy undertaking, but we're pretty proud of that. We really just like creating incredible software that's going to help you make money in the market. That's what we do, and that's what we enjoy doing. First thing I'm going to suggest to everybody is please download the latest beta. Just go to our website, go hit the download now button, and then scroll all the way to the bottom and download the latest beta. It's 5.596. We've put some great enhancements into the stock racing, most specifically, but just a lot of cleanup overall on the software, a lot of bug fixes, and a lot of enhancements overall. So this version is the version I would recommend you all being on. So go to the website and download that. I'm going to demonstrate most of the things today, but the one thing I did want to talk about was well, I'm going to spend a little bit of time on the race, but specifically how to use the race to really find these opportunities in the market, and ultimately what we want to do is profit off of that and make money. And this is an example that I had running today. This was just off of our Explosive Winners channel. We have a channel bar, and I'll go through some of the different channels, but this particular channel really does find stocks that are on the move. And specific to the race, we're looking at all these stocks that have had great gainers for the day, but specifically in the race, we're looking for stocks that are moving from the open, who's moving the most up from the open. And in this particular example right here, if we look in this upper left-hand corner, this is really just kind of the historical archive of the winners of the race. So the most recent winner is up here at the top. And as you go down here, those are the subsequent winners. And PGY, which happened to be PGY, which happened to be winning this particular race right here when I took the screenshot, also had some incredible winner, won the previous race before that, not the one before that, but then the 3 subsequent races before that. And what that translates to is if you look over here on the chart, and this is the intraday chart, this is the daily chart down below, but it really translates into this type of move. So it highlights these stocks that are moving in real time. It really creates a very shortened watch list, something that you don't really need to be, drilling down into from a perspective of a top list, because there's a lot of numbers in that top list, and a lot of that can get confusing as things are continuing to update. But we've really simplified it and culled it down into this race right here, where you can see the stocks that happen to be not only the stocks that are doing great for the day, but the stocks that, as you're running this race, are moving right now. And that's the part that gets lost oftentimes in a top list. You've got a list of great stocks that are all up very nicely for the day. But the question that you need to pose is, that you need to ask yourself is, how can you make money off of that list right now? And the key is to finding what stocks happen to be moving out of that list. And this race technology is really what's going to bring that information right to the top of your mind. So when something like this is occurring, you can click on either the winner or click on one of the symbols in the race to update the charts, update the single stock window, look at the news, and make a decision whether you want to participate in that. But suffice it to say, this stock right here was winning these races throughout the entire day, along with a handful of other stocks that really did perform very nicely today. So If you're not familiar with the stock race technology or the window itself, I would really familiarize yourself with it, because we've simplified the market in a way that really does identify the stocks that are moving right at this moment in time. I'll just highlight a little. I had this version running, but I ran into a bug and I had to close it. But this is our symbol plus column that we're going to be bringing to a lot of different components of the software. It's this particular column right here that incorporates the symbol name, whether that stock is up or down for the day based on its color, gives you the price of it, and gives you the change in dollars and percent along with the logo. So all that kind of bundled up into a column that you can use. So we took that right from our real-time stock race, and we're porting it over to other areas of the application. If you want to just have the normal symbol column with the logo, you can do that. Or if you just want to have the normal symbol column without any other visual graphics, you can do that as well. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and just kill the presentation here. We're going to kind of go into the software, and we can kind of take a look at my desktop. And we're looking right now at a docked window set right here, and this happens to be the post-market channel. I can choose from any number of different channels here over on the channel bar. And recently we've added this option here to show more or show less. So as I show more, I've got access to all these other channels. And one of the things that I've recently done, I've updated the free-floating channel bar to mimic the docked channel bar. But we've also got all these other channels that I'll be eventually bringing over to the docked channel now that we have the show more, show less. But we just have a complete bevy of different theme-based channels here. These are workspaces that have all been designed based either on a theme or a symbol list, something in that regard right there. But you can just kind of scroll down and peruse, and we've essentially made all of these different workspaces and layouts in a way that allows you to pull one up at any time and see exactly how we configured it. So like on any of our windows, if you right click, it'll bring up this context sensitive menu. And if you go into configure, you can see exactly what we've got going on from a configuration perspective, whether it's looking at the filters that we're using, looking at whether it's a symbol list or not, or you can go to the summary tab and just really get a nice simple English explanation as to what we're doing here. Now, all of the windows, so this is a multi-strategy window. If I hover over strategies, you can see the different strategies that are inside of this window. And the multi-strategy window is really just it's like an alert window on steroids. It allows you to put a variety of different unique alert and filter combination strategies into one single window container, and just let that container kind of feed you the information. Like all of the windows, everything is linked. So if you select a particular symbol here, it'll update whether it's a single stock window or the various charts that you have, and keep that all linked. If you're using a third-party application, like another brokerage tool, brokerage product, you can go to the tools, external linking. This is a pretty slick little piece of software that for the most part on about 90% of the brokerage applications or chart applications or trading applications that are out there, you can link trade ideas right to that. So when you click on a symbol, not only will the windows inside of trade ideas update, but the windows inside of that other application that you're linking to will update as well. So this is a pretty neat piece of software. If you use multiple applications, this is a great way to tie your trade ideas into that other application as well. So that's the external linking. That's kind of the loose-based linking. But we also have, just in a high level, linking within Brokerage Plus, and this would be more of an integrated type of linking with some different brokers that we have. Right now we have live with ETRADE and Interactive Brokers, along with our own simulated trading. So you can trade your live money with those accounts. You don't have to open up your ETRADE application or your trader workstation. You can do it all right here through the Brokerage Plus interface. So when you click on a symbol, you can either use the order entry panel here to send an order. You can use the right-click method of sending an order here to send a trade, and this is all based on your own custom configurations that you have for sending your order types out. Or what you can do is you can set up your auto trading, and we have auto trading set up. So once you've crafted a strategy, once you've back tested it and you're pretty comfortable with it, you can always take that strategy and move it over into Brokerage Plus and really just turn it on. So you'd add it right to this interface right here, and you turn it on. You tell it exactly how you want it to perform. Every time there's an alert generated, you want it to go out there with a limit order, a limit delta, a market order. How much do you want to commit to the trade? All of that can be done in Brokerage Plus. And that can be done in live or in simulated. So you can also do automation in simulated mode to test it out first. And that's, we really do recommend getting comfortable and familiar with the simulation mode. Get profitable in the simulation mode. Prove that your risk tolerance is commensurate with the kind of capital that you have there. And once you're profitable, then you can be pretty confident and comfortable moving over to the live trading environment, because it's going to work exactly the same way. And I'll talk a little bit more about Brokerage Plus in a bit. I think what I want to do is, there are a couple like bulk things I wanted to talk about. I wanted to talk about the alerts, odds maker, and AI kind of as one little concept. And then I wanted to talk about the top lists and racing, because we've added some new functionality in the racing that I want to get to eventually as well. So let's do this. I'm going to go ahead and let's just minimize this. Let's minimize this right here. And let's kind of start from, well, I loaded this. Let me load something from the cloud that I have. All right, so these are two strategies. This happens to be the tailwind strategies that you're going to find inside of our AI. Before I drill into the strategies and the back testing and such, let me pull it up real quick here so you can kind of get an end result of how this all works here. So I'm going to go to the Holly AI docked channel. And so right here, and I've got it in any profitable mode, I'm going to go ahead and set it so that we can see all the trades for the day. But we had, what did we have? We had 6 different trades that were called out throughout the day, all at different times. This one happened right at the market open, got stopped out, and then the rest seemed to kind of work out throughout the rest of the day. So there were 4 winners and there were 2 losers out of all of that. In one of the strategies, it's the tailwind strategy, and we actually had 2 trades from the tailwind strategy. So just to really wrap it up here, let me show you, let me bring in the segment and the strategy so you can see which strategy called out which. So essentially we had these 2 trades, CPRI and STLD. These both came from the tailwind strategy. They both were profitable all the way through the end of the day. So let's take a look at that one in particular. And the way the AI works, we have a bank of about 50 different strategies. We call these unoptimized strategies or base strategies. And at the end of the day, the system uses the odds maker. It doesn't really use the odds maker because it's doing it all behind the scenes, but it uses the technology in the odds maker to go through all the strategies and really try to optimize it. Look at all the filters that are being used and see if making a change here or there has an impact on the overall profitability of the strategy. So we're doing that through all these 50 strategies for hours and hours after the close until we have this bank of optimized strategies. And those optimized strategies are then all ranked based on their profit factor, their win-loss ratio, their average winner to loss amount. And so these factors are all determined to pull out the best of all those strategies. And this is the way that it works. I'm going to go ahead and move that channel over, but I've got my base tailwind strategy. So this is the strategy that was used the day before, using the odds maker tech to kind of optimize it, to go through the strategy setup and see if there were any filters that could be massaged or changed to make this strategy perform better. So I'm going to right click on it, and you can do this on any alert window if you're a premium subscriber, and you can go to backtest strategy. We're not going to trade the first 15 minutes. So this is our entry. We're not trading the first 15 minutes, and we're not initiating a trade in the last hour of the market. We're going to try to hold this until 12:45, 15 minutes before the market close. And we're going to put a stop loss here. The stop loss is going to be the low of the day. And a few other things, we're going to do the maximum testing, which is 63 trading days. So that's 3 full months of trading. And this tells me kind of a summary of what we're doing here. We're going to try to buy this stock. So we're going to buy it every time there's a signal generated. So now it's going to go through this long list of trades over the last 3 months and give me an idea, if I was to buy every one of these, how would it perform? And you can set some parameters to that. Am I buying a fixed number of shares? Am I buying a fixed dollar amount? What's my commission? and I can adjust that once this thing is completed running. So here we have, I'm committing $2,500 to each trade. The commission is $1. It's a fixed cost of $1 and a penny a share. Let's just say I'm going to be paying 2 pennies a share. So everything will adjust in real time. And so this is something I'm starting out with 50,000, and after commissions, I'm pretty much ending up with 50,000. So it's kind of a crapshoot, but I'd never be able to do 3,000 trades in a 3-month period of time. That would be just too much trading. But nevertheless, this is our base strategy. So what I want to do is I want to show you after we get a hold of it through the AI and going through the odds maker and the machine learning and crunching all of the statistics on it using our part to determine which filters should be modified, we're provided with this optimized strategy. And so on all of the base strategies, we get an optimized counterpart. And so this is what was presented today through the AI interface. And when I go here and I want to run the back test, let's do that now. It's going to use the same parameters. I'm not trading the first 15 minutes. I'm not trading the last hour, still holding it 15 minutes before the close. And everything's the same as it was before. The only difference is there's probably a filter change or two or an additional filter that's been added. So now let's go ahead and simulate the buy. And this is really what the end result is. And hopefully it won't have anywhere near the 3,000 trades that the other unoptimized strategy had, something a little bit more tradable and hopefully more profitable as well. And as soon as this is done, we can kind of look at it and compare the two, because we have the older one here and the newer one's going to be here. So let's get them side by side. All right, so let's just analyze this information at first. Well, let's look at the equity curve. The equity curve looks really good by comparison. We started off with 50,000, and now after the end of those 3 months, we've got 53,000 just on this strategy here. So it's a profit factor of 3.35, sum total of all the winning trades over the sum total of all the losing trades. So a factor of 3, that's really good. There were a total of 322 trades in the sample set, of which 68% were winners. That's better. What did we have here? So we had 49% winners before. Winner to loser ratio, this is much better, a much bigger winner to loser, and it gives you my return. To be able to execute this strategy on a $50,000 account, I'd need to have, well, it doesn't really matter what that $50,000 account is, but in order to do this with $2,500 per trade and my commission such that it is, I'd need $91,000 to execute this strategy. So you can look at the drawdown at any given time. You can look at the buying power, and there was really buying power of 91,000 only needed on really one day. Another day was 60, but for the most part, I could do this strategy on about $25,000. So not even really using margin to execute it. So that's how it works. And just so that you can do this with your own strategy, and you can use the optimization tab right here to make it better, whether you're looking at the price point of the stock. Remember, this is an optimized strategy, so there's not going to be a lot of bad stuff in it. But you could go here to the filters, and I'll run you through a couple of filters here, and we can look at the difference between, and just notice the color scheme. Just a red one here, mostly green, a couple red on the bottom. So this is what an optimized strategy might look like. If I was to take the original one and go to optimization and go to other filters, and I have no idea what this is going to look like, but you're going to get a lot more trades, and it's just not going to be as clean. So here I've got, if I'm looking at, this is how you would read it. We have a filter for 120-minute range in a dollar value. So when that filter was over 60 cents right here, all the way up to $1.60, I won less than half the time. But when the 120-minute range was less than 60, I did better. And you can see that both in the average win as well as the win percentage. So that's how you would use it. I mean, I could do a full hour, 2-hour presentation on just the odds maker, but know that this is here, and this is a tool that can really help you build a strategy and refine it so that it give you a lot more confidence when it's working throughout the day. There is a phone number for Trade Ideas, Peter, and I'll share that with you at the end of the prezo. I think it's on the very last slide, so that'll be there. All right, so that's the odds maker and how it kind of pertains to the AI. if we're manipulating the window, there are a couple things that you can do just so that if I wanted to see what trades generated today throughout the day, I could just run a history and select today. And here I have all the signals that would have been presented today. Now, there are time constraints with the AI, so not everything is going to go just because it's coming through this window here. You'd also probably want to make sure that you've got the time filter set on to mimic it. We don't give these strategies out because they update all the time. Every day you're going to come in and the tailwind that's going to be generated tomorrow, for instance, if it does show up, is going to be different it might not be, but for the most part, most likely it's going to be different because there's an enhancement that can be done based on the data that was generated today to add that information to the overall sample set. All right, so let's do this now. Let's kill that, and I'll take a look at the questions in a bit. I just want to hit this one more topic, and then we'll see if you want me to talk about something different here. So let's go to the new docked channel bar, and let's go to this explosive winners channel. I've made some modifications to it. I've simplified it so that we're really trying to just bring in the race. But every race right here has a top list associated with it. In fact, every race has a top list associated. So you can right click on any race and select open top list. And that's going to give you the top list window that's being used to provide the symbols for the race. So it's important to understand the top list, how to configure it, how to get something that you're looking for. On all the channels that we've built, we've done all this for you. So you can take it apart, if you will, and really see how we built these so that you can do things for yourself. The channel bar in this explosive winners channel is hidden. So all you need to do is select that channel. It's collapsed rather, not hidden. Select that, and then you can peruse the other channels that are right here. If you want to pin it, you can just select that and it'll always stay up right here. That's a little feature of our docking window set, and you can do that with any dock that you create. You can pin a window over here on the left-hand side that can collapse or stay visible. Okay, so in the race, I want to show this new feature that we've added, which really does bring some great relevance to the race. This allows me to add a symbol to the race that may not be in that top list that I'm looking at. So what I need to do, I'm in replay mode, and you can't do it while you're in replay mode. So I'm going to go ahead and stop this race. And I'll just go ahead and start a new race right here. So now we're not in replay, and now I can do my add edit symbols. And I'm going to go ahead and add a couple symbols to it. Some things that I was trading today that I may want to see how it compares to some of these other stocks that were moving pretty good. This is a great lesson in humility too, because you'll realize how difficult it is just to pull up a symbol and see how it competes with some of these guys that are really running. So let's do Carvana. That was one that I was looking at today. Let's add another one as well. Let's take a look at GME. And another one that happened to be doing pretty good for me. One of my favorites, US Steel. All right, so now they're going to be identified here in the race with a little bit of a different background color. That's going to be more of a charcoal, not so much a black. So you can see exactly where they are in the race. And these guys are always going to stay in the race, regardless of whether it's warranted that they're there or not, because I forced that. So you can always hit this and see exactly what symbols you've got added. You can always look over here and see which ones are gray. But this really does give you a nice way to bring relevance to it. So in addition to being able to find new stocks that are on the move, like this one here that was pumping out through all the day, I was doing it in the morning, had a nice pause, for the midday, and when it started lighting up, that's when it started coming right into the race. And we've got some good features in the race here. I'll right click and show the race setup, where we've got this option to replace cars. And we're going to be changing this. We started off with all of these being cars and it's moving to logos, but replacing stocks. And when a new stock comes into a top list, we give you the option of incorporating it into your race. And so by having that checked, I think it's a really good idea, because by having that selected, any new symbol that starts to move, that really starts to light up, whether you're looking at a price action race or a volume race, it's going to immediately pop in here into this window and start rising up through the ranks, and you're going to see that action of it moving up. And so it's a really good way to identify those stocks that are on the move and just presenting themselves for the first time today. Now this one here, from the moment it started ticking, was a high volume mover. You know, maybe not the first 5 minutes. I think even the first 5 minutes it was a pretty high volume mover, but give it into the second 15-minute candle right here, boy, I think just started lighting up in a relative volume. And the relative volume, when you have a value of something like, and this is, take note of this, because we've got a lot of great filters, a lot of great data points, but this relative volume data point is one that you must be aware of. It's letting you know how much volume a stock is doing right now, but comparing it to normal. So you don't really need to know what kind of volume PGY does on a normal regular basis, but when you see that it's doing 285 times normal volume, then you know that's something to take note of. And when you look at, whether you're looking at the intraday chart right here, you know, notice these volume bars, just it makes it look like it's never traded before. And look at the daily chart, this volume bar doing 38 million compared to what its average. And I can come here and I could go to configure, and I want to see what the average daily volume is. Well, we have 3 different choices. I could bring all three in if I wanted to, and just hit OK. And now you can see that on average, this stock right here normally does, whether it's the 5-day, 128,000 shares, or even up to 3 months, it's doing 170,000 shares. I mean, it probably did that in the first candle today. So yeah, interesting stuff. And when you're aware of these filters, you can build scans on that. In fact, one of the windows that I look at on a regular basis, this guy right here, I've got this volume radar, and this volume radar is kind of slicing and dicing up volume in all different time frames, whether it's the 5-minute, 30-minute, or even this relative volume value. And I've got this relative volume in all different windows, because that to me is super important. And you know, when you find something that helps you kind of paint the picture of that stock and what it's doing or what the potential of it is, you'll want to make sure that you've got those data points at your disposal. So yeah, I think relative volume is a super critical point. So let me do this. Let me peek on over to the questions here. I'm going to take a little pause here and see if I can get any of these answered for you. So David, how did I pull up the symbol list? What symbol list are you talking about? Are you talking about from the stock race? Oh, yeah. So this is coming in the next release of the software. I'm sorry. This is coming right here in the next release, where you'll be able to add those. But if you wanted to pull a top list, you can do that, and it's just right click opening the top list, and you'll be able to get the symbols that it can pull from that list. Yeah, that's why it's really important to keep, you know, pulling our beta, because we are, I mean, literally, we are always adding stuff on the fly to that. And the next thing going in that's already been tested and approved is that symbol feature. And thank you, Scott, for posting that phone number. Yeah, David, and the trading room. The trading room is a fantastic place to not only learn a little bit about the Trade Ideas software, but really how it's used to pull money out of the market, because the people are live trading in there. There are some people that are simulating, but you know, there are a lot of people that are trading live, and they're making these calls in real time using our technology to do that. So it's a real great experience, and it is free. You can get to it right from our website on the homepage, clicking that link up at the top. So David, I should know the answer whether it's in 5.596. I want to say yes, but it may not be. I want to say it is. We've done some enhancements to it to where you know, you can add a symbol and it'll immediately show up now. And I think in the version, I think it's 9.6, it doesn't immediately show up. It waits for a 30-second update, then it pops in. But if it's not there, it will be within a week or so, because we do beta, we do weekly beta releases. At least we try to. So just as a, this is kind of typical real world scenario as I look at this biggest gainers from the open, these stocks are moving since we started this race, which was about 7 minutes ago. SMCI has already moved $1.20. Look at this guy, it's just on the move. It's moved 2.74%. So we're giving you all that info right before even clicking on it to pull it up in the chart. This is obviously a much cheaper stock. If it's going 2.4% on 6 pennies, it's going to be a little bit more inexpensive. So it doesn't quite have the move that other one did, but this is allowing you to see this motion in real time. And I suggest going through a lot of the different channels that we have. This price and volume is a really interesting one because we do something different in this particular race than we do in others. We're really doing a race on volume. So what we can see here are the stocks that have increasing relative volume. So OIST, well, that had a relative volume of 2.4. TBLT had a relative volume of 10. So different relative volumes, both high relative volumes, but from the moment I start the race, we can now see whose relative volume is increasing. So this is another good race to have running throughout the day. A lot of times it's not going to be showing you anything super interesting until something really starts to light up, and then you're going to see that guy just run and run and run. So it's just another good way to not miss any type of market action. Pre-market's a good place to start the day. This right here is where you can look at the pre-market up gappers, the pre-market down gappers. Got a little multi-strategy window. It doesn't have a ton of different strategies in it, but just a couple. Give you some indication of the stocks making pre-market highs and lows and the ones that are moving on volume. Let me show you a little bit about the single stock window. So the single stock window, it's like a little piece of clay. This is kind of how it opens up, and I have everything opening up in free floating mode for me. When I want to put it into a dock, I just right click and I just duplicate it into a dock. But the single stock window is really its own dock in and of itself. I could take this news right here and I could drop it to the bottom panel. So now I've got my detailed view up at the top, and I've got my news here down at the bottom. And I've got some other options that I could do. I could take my competitors, and I can take that and I can move it down to the bottom. So I'm kind of showing you what we've done with a few channels is we've turned the single stock into a look that's something like this right here. So you've got your details, you've got your news, you've got your competitors, and there's two different ways to look at competitors. These are the guys that are sharing the same sector or subsector, sub-industry as the main stock we're looking at. But then we also have price action, which is taking a look at both a long-term and a shorter-term view of that stock and trying to bring you something that looks similar in nature. So if it's like on its year low and it's just starting to break up, you're going to get something that looks like that in these different symbols right here. So you can shape this any way that you want. You could, kind of have any different look that you want right here, but this is its own dock, and it's very much like the Brokerage Plus window. The Brokerage Plus window allows me to take these panels and move them around. So I could have panels in here, but I could also open up, if I just wanted like a position grid outside of that, I could do that as well and just kind of have a free floating position grid where you can determine what account you want to be looking at and such. Any possibility to see the trading room? Well, I mean, the trading room's closed, but I can show you exactly what you do to get there. Let me show you here. And if you go to trading room, you can do it in a couple different ways. You can just go to YouTube and you can go into the live trading room there, or you can enter the room here. It's probably going to be closed and won't have anything for me to do, but yeah, so it's closed right now, but it's a little application that works inside of your browser, allows you to chat, interact, some different panels, and we're sharing, or Barry's sharing his screen live, so you're able to see that live in real time, and you can hear him on the mic as well. So check that out tomorrow. Yeah, you don't need to be a subscriber to check it out, but it sure is more helpful to have the Trade Idea software with you as an accompaniment. I do have a little picture here of what the trading room looks like. So this is Barry's screen right here. There's the chat right here. And he has little areas where you can go download some of his cloud links and some of his strategies that he shares. All right, guys, you want me to talk about anything in particular? The price alert is something that, it would, I think it's important to be aware of. I use it all the time, probably too much, kind of a running joke in the company, but this is my price alert window. I usually have it showing. If you don't have it showing and a price alerts get triggered, it'll just pop up and bring it to the top of your mind. But this allows you to set a threshold alert. I had a threshold alert set right here on this stock, and it triggered. It's green, so you can see that it triggered right there. If I want to set up a new price alert, I can always do that. I can right-click anywhere in the window and create a new price alert. It knows where my mouse was, so that's the price that I clicked on right there. I could change it. By default, I did that above the last price, so it thinks I want to go long. I could change that. I do want to go long. I can put a note in here as well, something that'll remind me why I'm looking at it. I usually don't put notes. I'm kind of just moving pretty quick because ultimately when this triggers, I want to pull it up and decide at that point whether it's something I want to do anything with. This is something that we recently added, this after hours checkbox. When it's checked, it can trigger at any time, but if it's unchecked, it will only trigger during the regular market hours. So that's a new enhancement to the price alert functionality. Yeah, and so we're also keeping track, a running total of how many points are you away from where that triggered, and this just gives you an idea. Are you putting price alerts in the right direction, or just kind of gives you a similar to playing golf, throwing the grass up, seeing which way the wind's blowing. It lets you know if it's meaningful or not. I don't use this data point at all, so it's not anything that I use. And you can bring in different values like here. So this is how far it's moved since it's triggered. So you can have that data point. But again, look, something triggers here, I pull it up and then make a decision as to something. Do I want to look at this again, or do I want to reset the price alert? If I want to reset the price alert, I can do that as well, just by moving it up, changing the price point. I can bring it back down where it was. Just moving it around will go ahead and re-engage the alert for you. Yeah, so you can get alerts when Holly AI enters and exits a position, and here's how you do it. So for instance, you should get these, but if you were to go to, well, let me do this. Let me just go to the Holly AI trades window here. I need to configure this a little better for myself, but you would right click here and we have this option called actions. And on this actions here, you'd want to go ahead and play a sound, tell it what kind of sound you want. I like the text to speech because I like it when it calls out the letters of the symbol. That helps me. And then I hit OK. And if this is minimized, we would restore the window by selecting that. And that's all you need to do. Now, when there's an entry or an exit, it'll go ahead and give you that information. Hopefully that helped, David. All right, well, I don't want to overwhelm you guys too much. Let me see if there's something else let me talk about one more thing and then we'll wrap it up here. Talk a little bit about Brokerage Plus now that I changed my window around. This is kind of the way that I like to do it. I have a couple different accounts that I trade. In fact, I do have an IB account that I trade through this, but I have just a general brokerage account that doesn't link with trade ideas. And I have our 401k that doesn't integrate with trade ideas either. But I do manual order entries. Essentially, when I get into a position, I'm not usually day trading, although if I don't like something, I won't even hesitate to get out of it. But I'll just put it in here. I'll mimic what I'm doing in my brokerage account here. And I got to be honest, there's no other display that exists out there that I have found that gives me the type of information that allows me to manage my portfolio, my multiple portfolios. I mean, all these different positions with sorting, this P&L graph gives me a clean indication of where'd my portfolio start out today, or a particular account, and where is it now, and what happened in between, because that's all crucial. Did I get scared here and get out of things, or did I add to it, or did I do nothing? But that information gives me a good understanding as to what's happening in my portfolio. And then of course, I'm always looking at what's strong, what's weak. Is there something that I need to make a change to? So this is a really great way to manage your positions. And maybe everybody doesn't start out managing this number of positions, but you'll be surprised how easy it is to kind of take this heads up display and use it to your advantage. And we have a lot of great techniques inside of Brokerage Plus that allow you to set up you set up these different buttons here to do what you want it to do. But once you've got that set up, you can very quickly flatten positions, double, reverse, and really just manipulate your portfolio if you want. Or like I said earlier, use that order entry panel to put out these orders in the market. And this order entry panel can put out multiple orders at the same time. Like you could put out your stop loss at the same time as putting your opening order out there as well. And so pretty sophisticated. So there's the conditional, time and force. We've got all the data that's happening on that particular stock. If you just click on one of the bid, ask, or last, it'll load up that price point, turn it to a limit order, and you can decide how do you want to position size it. Do you want to use your scroll wheel to do that? Do you want to select something here? And then inside of this area, tools, options, Brokerage Plus, this is where you can set up your quick buttons here. That's the quick buttons over here. You can set up what your order defaults, what your scroll wheel is, what your scroll arrows are, and all of that. So it can all be very, very custom defined, so that after you've set this up, it's going to work perfectly for you in the way that you like to trade. All right, guys, I am tapped out. I mean, I could go on and on and on, but I don't want to overwhelm you with all kinds of information. Next week we'll have, or in 2 weeks when we come back, we'll have a whole new slew of features that we've added to the software, and we'll demonstrate those at that time. If you have any questions, I'll have all our contact information at the tail end of this presentation on the very last slide. All righty. So let me go up to here. So we are a subscription service. You sign up for Trade Ideas and pay by the month or by the year. And we've got a great discount here, 15% off if you use the code FASTDATA. We break it down by the day and by the year for both our standard and premium service here. So if you're serious about trading, these types of costs should not be a barrier to entry. I know that can sound a little bit crass, but you do need to have a little bit of staying power, and this is a small price to pay for the power of the idea generation that you get with Trade Ideas. Daily support sessions. I can't emphasize enough how valuable these are, because these are breakout sessions. Essentially, Barry's doing his trading room all day long, but there's a breakout session at 9 a.m. Pacific time, 12 p.m. Eastern time for an hour, where one of our trading techs, very experienced trader, and also someone very experienced with how to use Trade Ideas, they share their desktop and they really answer any questions that you guys may have. So a lot of times the webinars aren't the best place to do some one-on-one type of help, but these daily support sessions, these breakout sessions from the trading room, are phenomenal for doing that, because one, you're getting an expert at your disposal that's sharing their screen, and a lot of times you can just kind of gain some value and information just by listening to other people's questions as well and seeing how they're answered. This is the trading room that I talked about. So Barry, who's been answering questions here in today's presentation, he's hosting this not a webinar, this trading room throughout the day, and it's really exciting. It's really interesting. It's he really does keep it fun. So check it out if you haven't had that opportunity yet. And we are connected through Brokerage Plus to a couple different brokers. Our first brokerage connection was made through Interactive Brokers. We've been using them the longest. It's the most tried and true connection. I'm very, very pleased with that integration that we have. We also have a zero commission broker in ETRADE. So you can trade live money with both of those brokers right through Brokerage Plus. But like I said earlier, even if you don't have the Brokerage Plus integration, you can use the external linking to link to your various applications out there, or you can use the manual order entry in Brokerage Plus to mimic what you may have in another account. So this is our contact page. This has our very elusive phone number on it, 619-821-8198. There is someone there to answer that call during trading hours. If they don't get to it, just leave a message and they'll call you right back. I think the best way to communicate with us is by email, info@trade-ideas.com. If you want to send something to me directly, it's brad@trade-ideas.com. We also have live chat on the website. So during regular hours or market hours, if you want something instant, you can go to our chat support. And then a couple other ways to get a hold of us, youtube.com/trade ideas. That's our YouTube channel. A ton of videos on there that show you how to use trade ideas, different components and different aspects of the software. Just know that that's there. This presentation today will also be uploaded over to the YouTube site. So a lot of good information is there. And then we're on Twitter. Those of us that haven't been kicked off yet are still on Twitter. So we have a presence there as well as Facebook. So guys, if I didn't get to your questions, I think I did, but if I didn't, feel free to shoot me a personal email or send it to info@trade-ideas.com. Thank you very much for attending today. Scott, I'm going to throw it back to you and see if there's anything I may have missed.
I think you covered everything. Thanks everyone for attending. We will get the replay of this up on our YouTube channel tonight, and you get an email reminder tomorrow about how to find it. Thanks all. Thank you, Brad.
Bye, everybody.